Thank you for listening to SSB Wannabes. Make sure you keep up to date by following us on Twitter at SSB_Wannabes with one E. Sometimes our schedule gets the best of us and we can't record when we want to, so keep your eyes on Twitter and you'll always know when the new episode is up. Anyway, enjoy the show.
Dude, holy shit. I walk into my apartment and Vortex is here. Ben is here.
Why?
Don't know. It was like the best surprise ever. But, regardless of that, I almost wanted to ditch this podcast to play with him. But, welcome to episode 14 of the SSB Wannabes podcast. This is Will and my partner, JD.
What's you were gonna ditch us for Vortex?
He wanted to play Melee. That's like so rare.
Yeah, no. Why is he at your house? Doesn't matter. We'll talk about him later.
I don't know, but that's the title. Ben's here? What?
Ben's here? What? 4 question marks?
5. I think it deserves 5 at least.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, love Ben, but we got some stuff to talk about.
We do have stuff to talk about.
Sad to say you couldn't go to Scarlet Classic. I actually forgot, and I was like looking at bracket, and I'm like, did he not make top 48? Like, I was freaking out.
Oh my goodness. No. I just couldn't make it, unfortunately. I just had to like sort out some like life stuff. Like it was like I could have gone to Scarlet Classic, but like, you know, where it's like you just don't want to go in. Like, I think we've been talking a lot about like routines and like how you want to prep for tournaments and like building this sort of habit. And like, I don't think I would have gone to Scarlet Classic with like a clear mind. And
Right.
So I really wanted to. That really deterred me from going. And it wasn't even because it's like I've been playing well this whole week and I want to win or something like that. It's like that's really not my concern. Like, I just wanted to play well and like go in with a clear head and do what I do. You know, like sort of That's it. And you know, I had to take care of some other stuff, which you know more, but I won't talk about it too much. And so those priorities were just more important. And so I just had to sort of take the L for Scarlet Classic, but in an immersion. So I think one of the things is that I've been feeling that I've been missing out on a lot of things. Like, I like family, but like it's still like not Melee. And I think part of my identity is like
that should be the tagline of this podcast. I like family, but it's not Melee.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I think part of my like mental health and what's important and how I identify with myself is like the ability to be a competitor, and like and that's a big priority for me, as much as you know. And so like being able to like look forward to certain events to say like, all right, this is where I'm really going to test myself, this is where I can face the best of the best, this is where I can like, you know, give it my best shot, I think is really important. And so I've been feeling I've been missing out on a lot because I had the wedding, so I missed 5 pit. I missed Scarlet Classic this week. I'm missing Pound next week because I'm gonna like leave for the Philippines shortly after, so I need to like just prep for that.
Right.
And so like all of that all together, like, and then I'm missing. I decided Smash and Splash was too expensive, and I had to save up money, and then SmashCon is on my girlfriend's birthday, so like that weekend is totally off. Understandable. I've kind of like known that for the whole year already. So I decided to last minute register for Gommel, which is really good, and I like instantly felt better, you know, because it's like, all right, I'm like looking forward to that. I don't have to wait to like shine or anything.
Yeah, I think I might be going to Gommel also. It's a bit of a hike, and it's not. I mean, I have a vacation coming up, so it's like I'm very short-term thinking right now, making sure that's all taken care of. But I know as soon as I get back, I'm going to be fiending, so I'm going to have a week without playing.
Yeah.
And my best practice always comes when I have an event to look forward to. Like I've been playing the last couple days, just, you know, kind of doing my daily. It's really just warm, like 20 minutes. You can't really improve, but just kind of getting my fingers warm.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not like it feels fine. It's still Melee. It still feels good to like kind of move around. But the second there's something to like, okay, I need to work on this thing, it just kind of fills in a little more. It goes from like 60% to like 80% fulfillment. And then when I'm at the tournament warm, that's when I get like the full love of the game. And so it's like each step is important to lead to that next step. So like when I have no event, that practice is still really important because it makes me like, it puts me in that improvement mindset. Okay, I have a tournament coming up in 2 weeks. I don't have to spend a few days like getting warm again and getting reacclimated to the game. I could just go right into that like grind mindset. And then without that grind mentality or that practice, tournament day, I have to like play a few friendlies to get into the zone. So it's like it all makes sense and it's all important. And I think in your case, I think you're absolutely right that if you had gone to Scarlet Classic with these other things on your plate, it would have been in the back of your mind or even the front of your mind. Like you can't just will yourself to not have obligations outside of Smash. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a big thing is like, I think a lot of players like feel like, and I this is my fear too, is that like, when other life stuff like gets in the way, like Smash at times, like it feels like, like how can I compete with the big boys? How can I compete with the people who are just devoting themselves to Smash? And that's like fair, but they're also handling with their like own life stuff. And it's like Smash isn't a game where like, it's not like StarCraft or like League where they're practicing 18 hours, like catching up to them isn't as hard. And let's just be honest, like maybe unless you're like, until you get to like the tip top where they are doing like putting the 18-hour shifts and you're like, Jesus fuck, like how do I catch up to them, And so I think it's like, and also as like we get older and you like look at other fighting games where, demographics in their like late 20s, early 30s, like the pro players, it's like, how do you, it's about like knowing to like roll with the punches in terms of like commitments,
Yeah, I mean, this is something we talk about all the time, and I always love talking about it because it kind of reaffirms my own mindset, and that's the mindset, of longevity and making sure that we're placing Melee at an appropriate place, not always first priority. But putting it in a spot in our lives where when we can focus on it, we can give our entirety to it for that time. So it's not always going to be, first thing on our mind. Like my family obviously takes priority. I feel like that should be most people should have family or close loved ones, other people, it should be the people first. Then, your job or your school or career or whatever you're working towards. And for some people that is Melee. So I think what we're kind of playing around is that interesting little dynamic of what it takes to reasonably up Melee on our priority list, where, these top players, let's look at IBDW as an example. Just a quick a very micro shout out for him winning Scarlet Classic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, good shit, Cody.
Yeah, and so he's in the position now where he can kind of sustain his lifestyle with this game because he's winning money from tournaments, he has a good sponsorship, and he's going to be able to ride that hopefully for a long time. And so there's a bit of like a no man's land between having Melee be a serious hobby, something we work towards to improve, and having it be this career. And this is something I've wanted to like rant about for a very long time, because I think so many people are just straight up delusional about what they can accomplish and what's even possible. Where there are like so many talented people, so many smart and capable, like straight up winners that play this game. And when I say winners, I mean like as people, like they're just champions. They're sick people. They're like whatever they put their mind to, they win at. They could do whatever they wanted in life, but they're playing Melee, and that's great for them. And they're not going to make a dime. Like it's just the nature of the game, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, I think, our jobs as Melee players to really understand what's even possible within this game, and to have a mindset of survival rather than trying to sprint through.
Yeah.
And get as good as you can, as fast as you can. I really don't think that's the game right now. I think it's not possible.
I also think, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not possible because we see like a lot of accounts for it, but like I would say that like it's not about like, yeah, it's like not about survival, but like obviously it's just about goals. Like, is it a PR goal or is it like a mastery goal, like a competence goal? Like that's sort of like what I wonder people are aiming for. But like in terms of like other stuff, I think there's two misconceptions. One is like like Smash and like trying to improve at Smash at a good fast rate ahead of like the curve, like ahead of the pack, I would say, it's about coexisting with all of your other life stuff, And then I think a common misconception is that like, yes, sometimes life stuff will get in the way where you have to put Smash, at like third or second priority, or maybe even fourth or fifth. But I think the issue that I see with a lot of players, especially trying to come up and like them getting discouraged and stuff that I've seen, is that they don't put Smash, that there's a lot of stuff that they do that shouldn't, if they want to get better at Smash truly. And we're talking in terms of improvement. If you want to have fun with Smash, completely okay, I support it. It's very different, of course. I've said this before time and time again. But in terms of improvement, I think there's a lot of stuff where they do a lot of things that shouldn't take priority over Smash, And I think there's a lot of ways that people can be smarter with their time management and stuff like that. Like, do you know most mornings, like I wake up and I go to work, it's an hour commute, just like every other New Yorker. I download VODs the night before. What do I want to work on? I want to watch Sheik today. I'm watching Dark Fox versus Sheik. I'm watching Leffen versus Sheik. Am I feeling a little bit nervous and like anxious? I'm going to meditate. I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to make sure I'm good mentally. I'm going to make sure I'm good. Oh, I know I'm playing Panos tomorrow. Let me watch some Falcon sets, because I'm playing Panos tomorrow actually at the beer dojo. Like I watched Falcon sets on my ride back today, and I'm going to watch it like in the morning also. Right. I'm going to come in with ideas, and it's about being prepared, and it's about knowing where to fit it in, but also like what should take priority. Like I couldn't go to Scarlet Classic yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I couldn't go to Scarlet Classic yesterday. I messaged Austin, who beat me at NYU, which we'll talk about that bracket. He beat me at NYU, and I'm like, man, I really need Sheik practice. Messaged him at 10:30. I messaged him at 10 a.m. Are you awake? And he goes, yes, I'm awake. I'm free till 1. I'm like, I'll be there. Uber straight to him, worth the $20. I got like 3 hours of Sheik practice done there. I think, and not everyone has to be like that, but I'm just saying that like, it can be like that,
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm like learning, it's about like knowing where you can like push yourself, knowing where you need to back off. Like I did that both at the same time. Like I said, I can't do Scarlet Classic. I have, priorities that are more important to me. And then I also was like, well, let's see what will make me feel better. One, getting practice that day, making sure I touch the controller, making sure I move around, stuff like that, getting some good practice in. And then like registering for Gommel, making sure I have something to look forward to in replacement of Scarlet Classic. Like I think a lot of people get too stuck in like I'm not seeing the improvement, I'm not seeing this, or like I lost to this, or I keep on doing this, where it's like sometimes you just have to like bite down and like really take a look at what you're doing. And even if you think it's enough, it doesn't mean that it's enough for the game to improve,
Hell yeah. I think that's what's really cool about kind of because me and you this is where the differences of me and you really come down to. And it's really like you're really making your opportunities, which is awesome. Like you really should be preaching about what you do on a day-to-day basis. I'm so happy you spoke about that, because I feel like you have a tendency to kind of go into humility a little too much.
Okay.
And I'm always curious about the moves that you make in particular to improve, because I think it's always good for you to kind of review it yourself and to hear yourself say it, so that you like, because you're improving at a rate which is like, it goes unseen because of your environment, because we're in such a good region where I feel like every once in a while we finally get to see like, oh yeah, like Wasabi is actually like crazy better than you used to, like, you know what I mean? And so it's really cool to hear you go over the legitimate, like, I do this to improve. And I think it's important for everyone at any stage to just kind of be really in touch with their own habits, with their own strategy for improvement, and their own ways that they treat the game and how they prioritize it. We say it all the time, like, it's whatever works for the individual, whatever works for
exactly.
you.
And I just sort of feel like I've hit my stride in what works for me.
Hell yeah. And you're also kind of you're also balancing so many real life things that I think that's where Melee is. That's why it's such a great thing that I want to keep in my life for as long as possible. In that I feel like when I'm like, let's say I have a week off, I'm not playing Melee for like 5. I'm not just grinding Melee and writing a bunch. Like, when I have a week off from work, I do less. I do almost nothing, you know? And of course that's something I need to get over, and I need to take steps to make sure that doesn't happen every time I have a day off work. But the reality of it is, like, when I'm really in a groove, that's when I'm really only playing like 40 minutes of Melee a day, you know?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That level for me is when I feel most comfortable on game day, where I'm playing just enough where I feel like I can put in the best tournament day possible. That's when I put in like my 5 hours of friendlies or whatever, however much I play that day. And that's when it turns into like the best experience I can make it. And it also fits into the priority and the plan I've set for myself, and my strategy, which is kind of just, I said it before and you disagreed, which is great because it doesn't line up with how you're treating this game, which is the survival attitude of like, my strategy is to just like keep this in such a healthy place for so long that I never feel like I don't feel like Melee is a chore anymore, and I hate making it a chore. And so all I do is important. Like, that's what I'm saying.
And I think it's one of your best traits also. Like, I still am amazed on how often and consistent you can show up on game day. Like, even better than me, you know, in a lot of ways. And I'm okay, you know, admitting that even. And then I think also is like, you know, maybe we do disagree in the survival. Like, I think I'm trying to, I would say I think I'm trying to like really, I'm always looking for growth.
Yeah.
And seeing where I can like push myself a little harder and push, like, I would be like super tired playing against Beerman, and I would be like, I'm gonna keep playing till like I either get out of this like exhaustion and like I can get a second win, or I really am like, my mind's not working right now.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm missing that. That's what I envy in you for sure, because there are times where I'll be able to justify taking it easy, or like if let's say there's friendly setups and people I haven't played in a long time at a tournament. Like, Flinchy was at Super Smashed Out, and I haven't played him in months. And I didn't make it a priority to sit down with him and play a few friendlies. Like, and Wally came up to me and money matched me, but I didn't money match anyone else. And, you know, in retrospect, and I'm just thinking about it now, which is also kind of something I could work on, is like, yes, I went to a tournament, I had a good time, I had a fine tournament, I picked up a couple good wins, like all this stuff, but what did I miss out on, and what could I like easily done, because the difference between an 80% successful tournament and a 95% successful tournament, take away all the wins, take away results, you think about, you know, you have one opportunity, you only have a limited amount of time with this many good players. The difference emotionally between let's even say like 50% effectiveness and
Mhm.
95% effectiveness. The way I'm treating the game, it's very difficult to understand the difference between the two, because I feel equally fulfilled sitting down and just talking with people for half the tournament, or commentating, which I guess is also beneficial. So I shouldn't be too hard on myself. But,
Yeah. If you're commentating, I would count that.
right.
Though, interesting thing is, you know me in tournaments. I need to like be in a very particular mood to talk with someone in tournaments.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wish I was able to kind of channel that energy and just be like, okay, here we are. Like, we're two people. But I like thinking of Syrup as an example, because he's the type of dude where if I'm playing him, if I'm talking to him, teaming with him in doubles, chatting over Facebook, like I'm just very comfortable. You know, we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah,
and
he's a homie. I love
yeah.
I love him.
But
yeah.
I should recognize the times. Like, I think I would equally enjoy having a conversation with him and joking around with him. I would equally enjoy that than I would. That's not a sentence. I equally enjoy that the same as playing him.
Yeah,
and I should recognize. Yeah, I should recognize the times where I'm sitting down, we're just chatting, but I should be like, yo, like, free setup, let's get some friendlies in, because his Marth is good, and I should get that practice. And so I think recognizing that weakness in the kind of, I guess you could say, laid back attitude that I have, which is not to say like lazy, but when you think of like the dichotomy we have of I guess you think of a gas pedal, you're definitely pressing harder on the gas pedal than I am. But it's finding that balance and constantly being able to push it more and more, while making sure your hand's on the steering wheel and you're in the right gear and you're adjusting,
And with that being said, I think it's like a lot about being smart in the way you do things. Like, I don't think what I do is for everyone also, and nor would I recommend it like for anyone unless like they've done it themselves. Like, this is the way I know. It took you a long
time. You've been doing this attitude, not necessarily this strategy.
This style is like analyst heavy, like very specific to what I'm playing. I get what you're saying.
Years for you. And I remember a while back I mean, we haven't been close for too long, but we've been, buddies for a while. But I remember you as someone who was in this kind of attitude, but it was less refined, and so I think it just comes down to whatever works for you, like, do that, but make sure that you're improving in that way.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, it doesn't feel like a chore to me too, and that's the big thing. That's what stood out to what you said. I just think that if, like, I feel like not that complaining is bad. I think complaining is just an admission of like how you're feeling. So I agree that that's good. But I feel like I see players where, they get frustrated, right, about how they're playing and stuff like that. And you just have to look and say like, oh, like, they're like, I've done so much of this, I've always do this. And I'm like, well, the game's telling you it's not working. The game's saying either it's not enough or it's the wrong idea.
Right.
And you have to have that, like, a sort of humbleness, or not even humbleness. You can have pride, just like not the ego part where it's like, where you don't change that, and I think that's a big thing. And it doesn't mean like, you can also like tone down your goals and stuff like that. But I think being honest with yourself and like what you want out of the game is like really important. And I think like I've been thinking a lot about that, just like through talking with other people and like seeing what their goals are, seeing what their frustrations are. It's like a lot of it is like, do your goals match up with what you're doing? And it's okay if it doesn't, but then you either have to change the action or change the goal.
Right.
And be okay with that. Like, you can't lie and say like, oh, like, I guess I don't want to get PR'd anymore or something like that. And like, but if you really want that, like, you have to be very honest when you change goals, because I think your gut initial goal is really the most honest one,
Yeah. I've changed goals many times, but I've circled back to the original one, which is top 100
Yeah.
one day. One of the first things I wanted was that. Then I was like, okay, I can't just want, like, it was kind of this put upon idea that Melee was running out of time and I needed to make moves. I needed to do it now.
Yeah.
So then it became top 100 to top 100 2018, which obviously didn't happen.
Yeah,
but
of course.
having that change in mindset, it was unnatural. It wasn't you. I love what you said, like that gut goal. Like what's your first idea of what you want? A lot of times is kind of the healthiest thing that you can reach and what's most natural for you to work towards.
Yeah, it's just being realistic with it and knowing it's like either like, man, I really need to work more, or man, I need to be more patient about this, or man, like, like my gut goal was like, yeah, let's just shoot as high as possible. Like, let's try to be like one of the best, and like, I know I'm far away from that and I'm okay with that. That's the weirdest thing, because I know I'm getting closer every day.
Right.
And sort of like, and I think my goals never really changed, and it's really to push myself to like, and it's nice because like there's no number attached to it also,
Yeah.
Like what's the best in my mind is very hard to say. I just know I'm nowhere near that, and I can say that much with confidence, but I can't tell you what the end of the road of like that looks like until I get there.
Absolutely. Well, the big thing I wanted to stress, especially in this conversation, which I'm really happy we kind of fell into.
Yeah, I know. This was not what we planned.
Yeah, I mean, we hardly planned too much anyway, but
I know, but it's just so funny because this is such an awesome conversation.
Right. This is like exactly where I want my mind to be at. But I think the one thing that I always want to stress, and I think I said it earlier, but who knows? It's creating a support system around Melee. It comes down, right? It's the same pretty much the same conversation as priorities, but there's a lot of context into my life and your life that gives us the freedom to like choose where we prioritize Melee.
I agree. I really agree. Do you mind if I like try to say some of the support systems? Because I think that might be really interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna mention yours, but go for it.
Oh, you're gonna mention mine. All right.
Well, you do it. You probably know better. You probably know better.
All right. Well, if I missed any, you gotta tell me.
Okay.
I think one is like if you're in a relationship, like both of us, like making sure, like having the support system of your girlfriend, and that doesn't mean they need to be gamers or anything like that, but like supportive and know how much this community, and this hobby means to you. And I think feeling understood in why you feel sad after tournaments and why you feel excited to go to tournaments and why you'll drop things to play with people is something that's important. And that's
side note on that, and I'm glad you started with that.
Yeah.
One, it's that you don't, for the people not in relationships out there, don't feel like it's the most necessary thing in the world, but understand if there's a bit of like replacing. It's hard to meet people, right? So Melee is such a fulfilling hobby that sometimes it kind of perpetuates the single life. And I'm not gonna be too PC. I'm just gonna say it like, if you play too much Melee, you're gonna have a hard time dating someone. And it sucks to say, and it like sucks to admit, and I might piss some people off, but it's probably the best thing for some people to hear, which is you need to understand where the balance is, and you don't need to get, like, I met my girlfriend while I was in the midst of playing Melee, and she knew from day one.
Yeah, same here. You don't lie. You don't lie about it. You say you're a gamer. You that's a first date. You drop that on the first date, and you see if they come back.
Right, and there's ways. This is actually fun. Let's stick on this for a little bit.
Yeah,
this is something we haven't really talked about before.
Yeah. Let's go with it. Let's run with it.
So there are ways to make Melee and your passion into an attractive trait, because there is a lot to it that makes you an attractive person. Like, there's a reason Melee players are,
Before
pretty confident and typically, you know, the type of people they're different than other gamers.
I agree. Before we continue, by the way,
Sure.
I think you make an interesting point about playing too much Melee. I just would like to like clarify on like how I interpreted it, because you definitely said it in a very no frills kind of way, you know? I think it's because the community is very homogenous, and so you don't expand your circle necessarily to meet said people that you might want to date. And if you do, like the few lucky ones that we know in the tri-state, shout out to all the cute couples there, Ben and Alfred, Curve and Jess, and all that good stuff. And yes, but it is a very homogenous crew, you know?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I want to add.
And just by the numbers, like there are, you know, this is a massively leaning straight dude community.
Well,
that's just the way it is.
And thankfully it's shifting, you know. Thankfully it's shifting, but it's still a long ways to go before we expand that community.
I mean, it matches up with just how shitty like video game marketing shaped all video game communities. But let's just stick to the facts, which are
let's get
more straight dudes, right?
Yeah, sure. There's more.
If you keep that as your only circle, then if you are a straight dude, you are going to have a tough time finding someone with whom to build a relationship.
Okay, yeah. So where were you going next?
Where I'm going with that is that there doesn't have to be a sacrifice. There just has to be an understanding of what it takes to meet people. And there are tons of ways to do it, but a lot of that's going to have to be either finding new hobbies or finding new social circles or putting yourself out. Like, you have to find other things from Melee, or else you are going to take away that opportunity from yourself. And I think everyone deserves to find love. And
so cheesy.
I know, but it's so true. Like,
okay.
And if you think of it this way, like, let's go like straight data.
Sure.
If you have a support system,
yes,
you are going to
back to support systems. I like it.
Able to sustain your Melee career on an emotional level, and give yourself, you know, pretty much the diversity in your life of someone who might not have the same perspective as you, and that's very, very healthy.
Yes, though I do have to say, I do think that support system, that camaraderie, can come through other places, right? Like, it can come with friends, and you and me. This is a great segue. You are one of my support systems.
Yeah.
This podcast, you know, it's being able to talk to through our feelings, through our struggles, through our, like, you know, we keeping each other in check, you know. I think, right, like, you know, you say things, I'm like, oh man, like, I really should remember that, you know. Like, you'll text me also, like, I think you texted me at Genesis, like, be sure to, like, go for a run and have a good breakfast. Like, my mom and girlfriend don't even do that.
Oh man, I'm such a wiener.
It was cute. I like this. But you know, like, I think that's important, you know, like, having that support system. And I think also having a job, like, to support financially, to be able to afford the hobby is big. Like, the fact that I could buy a plane ticket to Gommel, you know, because I work, you know, is important, right? And so, like, that, or if you're sponsors, then, you know, that's your answer to that. But I think that's another support system that's super important. I think also, like, I think a lot of people don't view themselves as a support system, and having these internal systems to keep yourself in check and to, like, understand when you're pushing yourself and when you're, like, you know, like, I think recently the way I work is that if I'm not into it, then I won't do it necessarily. Like, so I really try to be, like, I do a lot in Melee, more than most players. I think most of the general population does in Melee, I'd say. I you know, I don't know if I compare it to the top competitors, you know, but I think that, like, I understand when I get tired, you know. Like, I did, like, I think I watched, like, 3 matches, like, or, like, 2.5, like, on my way back from work today, and, like, by the third one I was like, I am not following this at all. And so I like just closed it, you know? But
Yeah.
I think like understanding that, like it's not like I'm a robot where I'm like consistently getting fed, you know, or consistently training for melee also, you know, like I've like worked on my stamina, yes I've like structured my schedule, but like if I'm tired I'll let myself rest, because resting is another thing that's important, you know?
Right. Listening to yourself and listening to your body is so underrated, especially in the melee community, because I think we've been led to idolize these people like Mewtwo King, like hacks that have, you know, had these insanely strong and durable work ethics, but you cannot possibly be that. Like they're hardened players, they've practiced for so long, that's how they operate, that's who they are. And to think of them as the way to improve, or you know what's necessary, or like if you don't do that much work, or if you're not playing that much, if you're not grinding, then you're not doing it right. Like I think, yeah, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, that's not what I'm getting at, but
it's just what works for them,
right? And so I'm
and it
sure
shouldn't
there
be
are times
idolized
where,
as much as anything else.
I mean, hell, Mewtwo King doesn't even listen to his body. It was a meme for him to go to the doctor for like 6 years. You
Yeah.
know? So
And
it should go
you
without
can see
saying.
the opposite way too with Mango, you know, not practicing. And I think that's actually, you bring up an interesting point that I kind of want to like segue into,
Sure.
which is, I think a lot of people look at, like, it's easy to look at the grinders and say, I feel like a lot of people have trouble finding their balance point in it, you know? Because I think I see a lot of players saying like telling me, right? Like I've had players in the past tell me like, you know, like I thought I was working hard at melee, and then like I hung out with you and I was like, shit, you know, like he's grinding more, you know, like I think you have that feeling. Like you've openly said that to me also, you know, like in the podcast and stuff like that too. You're like, oh man, like I gotta be pushing on the gas pedal a little more.
Right.
And I think a lot of people look at the grinders, but also people look at the naturals. And I don't think, you know, like I don't really view myself as like a natural or a grinder or anything like that. I like grinding and stuff like that, but there's a lot of other things in it. Like I'm pretty natural in the way that I can keep my like energy up for so long, you know? That's like something that people don't consider a talent, right? But I think, you know, people look at those two and like look at like, oh, you know, Santi doesn't practice as much and he's still so good, you know, I'm just not as like natural at this game, you know, like you're not born a gamer, you know, like there's no thing in evolution that makes it so that you can quarter circle, you know, to get a wave dash at the right timing, you know, like there's no thing like that. And then like, you know, in terms of like what works, like it's about being smart, you know, and like yes, there's a certain point where if both players are are practicing and, you know, doing smart practice, the one working harder is going to be better. But a lot of players just aren't practicing smart. They're doing shit that isn't important. They're not watching their videos. They're not doing a lot, and making those few changes a lot in a player, you know?
Right. I know we talked about this last week with kind of recognizing, you know, my faults and needing to analyze more, needing to just understand certain things. It doesn't always have to be a entirely conscious effort all the time. Mm-hmm. But I think, and this is kind of where my perspective meets with yours, and it's this fun little like, okay, where in this mix would a good balance be?
Yeah.
But for me, I'm kind of an absorption kind of dude, where mm-hmm. I know if I'm watching a stream and I kind of like relax into it and don't try to think and kind of just notice what's going on, I know that as long as I'm kind of feeding that into myself, mm-hmm. that it will play out in beneficial ways. For example, I was watching Hacks and Zealous with their set, mm-hmm. and I wasn't I didn't expect, like I wasn't tuning into the stream to be like, okay, I can't wait to, you know, learn a Fox Marth matchup. But then,
Mhm.
lo and behold, one of the best Foxes and one of the best Marths in the region are playing. And before I knew it, I was like, I felt like I was learning. So at the very least, there's a way to put yourself into positions that, like, there's no harm that could be done. Like, of course, it could have been better for me to take notes. It could have been more beneficial to, like, watch a VOD and play it at half speed. It could have been, there's always a better way to do things. I think part of what I'm trying to do is just raise my floor of what I'm doing to improve on a day-to-day basis. And I think being smart doesn't have to be like being smart can be the preparation of the practice rather than, like, let's say, for example, I have 20 minutes in a day to practice. There's a decision that can be made beforehand. Do I practice after work, before bed, or do I practice in the morning? And so being smart is not saying the objective truth is to practice before bed, because you'll sleep on it and you'll absorb when you sleep. The being smart is trying both and noticing that when I practice in the morning, I'm more comfortable. I'm able to kind of get the rust off quicker, and then I'm able to enjoy my practice rather than at night, where when I practice at night, after a few days of that, I start not wanting to do it, and then it becomes like willpower, and I have to actually, like, force myself to do these things, or maybe it conflicts with time with my girlfriend or all this other stuff. So I think being smart can be a more macro type of decision. For you, that intelligence, one example I should say of that intelligence is saying, like, I have a commute, let me download VODs. That's so smart. Like, I feel like you already won when you made that decision, where, you're aware of this and you need to prepare for that. And then, like, I think no matter what you do, because I'm sure some days you aren't feeling it. Like,
there's some days I'll just, won't do it,
Right. But just putting yourself in the situation where it's right in front of you. A good example also was this podcast, where we've tried a bunch of different methods of producing and recording and releasing. And I think what worked for us best was just finding out a way that we can constantly just show up and talk, rather than think of, like, we haven't done really that, like, we kind of do, and this isn't a shot at you or me, but we don't do that much marketing, because that's not where the value is for us right now. You know what I mean?
And we're slowly working on that too.
Right.
Even because we understand it's a weakness of us.
Right. And so that applies to everything, but especially Melee, where you don't have to say, like, okay, it'd be really smart to play for 2 hours today. No, it would be really smart to make sure whatever you do play, it's not making, like, let's say you have a test coming up, and if you fail, you have to retake a test, but you're playing Melee that whole time because you think that's the best way to improve. Well, good luck, asshole. You have to take a summer school class now. You know, it's really putting your entire life in perspective and realizing that even if you were to cut time here and there from everything else in your life to fit Melee more and more in, there's going to come a time where that comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I just want to
if you were being irresponsible
a bit more. And we've talked about this, like, off this podcast, but it's about devoting yourself to Melee. How, like, I think in terms of improvement, it's about when you have time to play Melee. When you sit down and say, I'm going to do something, anything Melee related, VOD, playing, whatever. I'm devoting my entire self to that.
Yep.
And there's no distractions and there's nothing. And that doesn't mean you have to do it every day for X amount of hours. It's just whenever you sit down, whether that's once a week or 4 times a week or every day, you're fully devoted to to that purpose, and there's nothing else, in your head. And I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. You know what? It is a little harder that way. Like, it is easy to sit down and
do it half-assed.
And
talk
watch TV and play Melee. Like, it's easy to set yourself up. It's easy to, like, even get drunk and play Melee,
Yeah.
But
remember our rotation with Panos. Shout outs to him, when you came over right before Smol 3. Remember, it was just silence for an hour because we'd sit down, we'd play a best of 3, and we'd rotate out. And that was it. And that's what I view as, like, full devotion to improvement. And it wasn't like we do that every day, but, like, we made the most out of it, and I think that's important. Make the most of your time, whatever that time amount is,
Right. And I don't know, I feel like it's strange because when I think of the community at large, it's really interesting to get different people's perspectives. I think all we really hear from the people playing are, like, there's the vocal people on Twitter, the people who have the followers. A lot of them are either established pro players
or legacy players,
or who tweets the most are honestly, like, commentators or content creators or people kind of in the circle. Where I actually don't know if I have a real finger on the pulse of people out there grinding.
No, I know.
That's one of the visions, not to get too meta, but one of the visions I have for this podcast is to really get in touch with all the people in our position, the people 100 to 300, like top 100 to the top 300.
It's the nitty gritty. It's the untold story.
Right.
How'd you get here?
Because there's not a lot of pride in getting 9th at a regional. You know what I mean?
And it's not quick. We're on our 13th episode too. It's been over, like, 2 months since we've been doing this. How much has realistically changed?
Not too much.
Not too much. I mean, yeah. Though, I gotta tell you, I've been playing the best fucking Melee of my life recently.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Like, I think.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I want every person in our position to start a podcast like this, because I totally agree with you that, like, the Melee that I have been playing has been so much less, like, heady and way more just kind of flowy, Like,
I feel.
You know what I mean?
Flow is the best word for it, dude. I feel like every time I pick up the controller, I'm in an instant flow state, and I'm learning new things. And no session, no training session, no tournament feels the same. It feels different and better every time. And I'm like, that's why I really want to go to Scarlet Classic, if we're doing a full circle for everything.
You gotta let it go now, man. It's done.
I know. So see me in Gommel.
Yeah. See me get on my level.
Yeah, but I think that's really exciting. I'm really excited about that. So I just had to say, like, I've always been in love with Melee, but man, am I loving Melee right now.
Sick. Well, speaking of love for Melee, there's a local that we talked about last week that is getting a lot of attention in the New York City / tri-state
time
Facebook
for
groups and stuff. But
yeah.
The one local is the NYU local, and one of the main champions is I shouldn't say champions. One of the
no, I mean, he's an
champions
NYU.
Is a good word.
He's
actually.
The NYU hero.
He's one of the main heroes of the NYU local.
The NYU PR is of his faces.
Who do we got, Will? Who's our shout out?
It has to go to Austin, dude. Austin is an incredible player, and one that I always love playing. And he made an incredible run. I told you about this. I like texted you immediately about this because it was so crazy. He was 10th seed in one of the most stacked tournaments, NYU locals there. It was me, Big Kid, Nico, Young, Beerman, Flinchy, Guava, him, Sun. Those are all the big hitters,
That is stupid for a free tournament. I'm sorry. That is
stupid
too hard.
Stupid for a free tournament. 40 people, 40 entrants on top of that. And he went through... Oh, and Miso. You got shout out number 15. and he ran through Miso, and then he beat Nico, and then he beat me in a really tight game 5, and then he beat Guava in winners finals. So shoutouts to Guava too for getting to winners finals, because he ran through, I'm pretty sure he ran through Sun and Beerman. Yeah, he ran through Sun and Beerman. And then Nico came back from losers and he won winner's side. That is an incredible result for a player.
That's kind of crazy. So he plays Sheik?
Sheik Puff.
Sheik Puff. Interesting.
Yeah. So like for me, I was up 2-1 against his Puff, and he switched to Sheik, and I wasn't ready enough for it yet, which is also why I wanted that run back, and I went to his place on Sunday, because I'm like, man, that doesn't sit well with me.
Right.
And I got some sick Sheik practice. But dude, shoutouts to him. And he has a Twitter. I think it's Square Parts. So, but that's Austin. So we're gonna shout him out. But that was, dude, that's a sick run. Like, I don't think I've ever made a run like that. You know?
Yeah, I'm racking my brain. Like, I don't know. I've never won. That's the best tournament. If I won that tournament and I'm a PR player, if I won that, yeah, I would have popped off. Like, I would have been like, oh my god, I'm so happy. Like, thanks everyone for that. You know what I mean? I won $0. Like, thank you everyone for the support. I would have been like freaking out. But,
I know.
Just did it, man. Shit.
Yeah, dude. And that's like one of the best runs you could make. So good shit to him. So before we head out, I gotta tell you, I'm thinking about Smash Camp, dude. It looks super fun.
Yeah, so talk about it a little bit. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so the deal with that is that it's in Arizona, it's in September, it's the week after DreamHack Montreal, which I was thinking of going to. But I looked at flights, I calculated the cost. It's like, flights are $300, venue fee is $100.
300 each way?
No, 300 one way. I mean, not one way, both
round
ways.
Trip?
Yeah, round trip.
What?
Yeah.
To Arizona? I guess no one wants to go to Arizona.
Well, I mean, Genesis was $250.
What the hell?
It's because it's major airports. If they're major airports, it costs less. That's why Wisconsin. That's why Smash and Splash is so expensive. At like $500 or for like $450, because it's in Wisconsin. So you target major airports. I learned that. I just figured out this strat.
Smart.
But
okay.
So Smash Camp, right? 2019. Nico went to it, and he tweeted about how he's had a great time. I've talked to him personally about it. But they're doing an end of the summer one, and it's at a summer camp. So it's end of summer, Arizona, 24-hour venue, and the venue fee includes 2 nights of board in cabins that you get to choose your cabin mates, and 2 meals.
Oh my god. What date is this again?
So this would be let me check.
August?
No, September. Smash Camp.
September.
It's in the teens. It's Smash Camp September 14th and 15th. And already you're gonna get practice. Like, you have hacks. I mean, not the hacks. Axe, Ty, Bananas. Like,
oh yeah, Arizona's amazing.
Yeah, you'll have everyone from Arizona, all the players you haven't heard of, and so many more. But like, dude, you have bunkmates. You can have like a cabin of like 6 of your homies. Like, the video looks so much fun. It looks like real T-gens out there too, which seems good.
I think you convinced me. I don't see why I wouldn't go to this.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm bugging.
Meals and housing for $100 is a steal on top of 24-hour venue. And you know who was thinking of going to New York? Like, know yet, but I've I've seen the tweets.
Wait. Okay, New York. So you wouldn't mention it if it was someone that's like going to everything, right? But it's
we're talking pure homie list now. You're thinking the homie.
Pure homie. Oh. Well, I don't know. Who?
Ipangu might do it. I might do it. Nico might do it. Panos, who is now NYC, might do it. Jeremy might do it. Like,
okay, I gotta hop on this. I feel like I need.
Can you imagine an NYC cabin also? Like,
I need a captain in a cabin, or else I'm not gonna get in a good one because there's too many.
I gotta buy some shorts for the summer.
Yeah, you don't want to dress up like the Wet Hot American Summer people, like like 90s campers.
That's the look I'm going for. That's the aesthetic. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, so you just talked me into 2 majors in the span of an hour.
That's the goal, you know. It's been a long time coming. But dude, doesn't that sound so sick? Like, I'll send you the video. Also, they have like this like video of like what it looked like. Basically, Pilar, my girlfriend, was like, if you come back with like your hat, your hat backwards and a tank top, it might be over. That's how degen the video is. You know?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It might change us forever.
I know.
Best summer ever.
All right. On that note,
you could have given me something.
I wanted to sing. I actually was like, I just couldn't think of a song, and I suck at singing. But I'll do it for you because right, it deserves it. Rerun it again. Just say it again. I got it.
Best summer ever.
Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama.
If we had any viewers at all, they're gone.
No, I know they're gone. Yeah, sorry for everyone's ears. Well, they're deaf now from that singing, so we don't have to worry about anything we say now.
Don't need ears to play Melee. Anyway, yo, that was a good talk, man. Yeah, we gotta super good talk. Gotta get out of here.
Yeah, I got some stuff to run. Yes. Yo, message me afterwards. All
right, I will.
All
right, buddy. Good talk. We'll be into. Actually, we have to take a week off. I'm not gonna be around next week.
Oh, oh no, I'll be in the Philippines the week after. We'll talk.
Oh, yo.
Yeah, we gotta sneak something in. We'll figure out the time difference. We'll sneak something in. Don't worry.
All right, man.
Don't worry, anyone.
Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Breathe. All right. Later, everyone.